What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're a subscriber, for all you new people out there, my name's Zach. I'm a real estate agent in Arizona and I absolutely love cars. Today we have an awesome video for you. We're gonna have a little sit down chat, so let's get started. But first, if you haven't hit that like button or that subscribe button, please do. It helps me with the algorithms. It helps you guys get notified when I'm uploading new videos, and I'd love to take you on this journey with me. So now officially, let's get started. All right guys, so we're gonna have a little chat here. I want to tell you, all my viewers, all of the cars I've ever owned in my entire life. Now, first, let's take a trip down memory lane. And down memory lane, we are going to the year of 2004. Now, this is when I first got my license, and I was into cars. I had no money. I was in high school. I was a broke high school student that still got money from my parents. However, I needed something cool. And so what I did was I started searching online because my parents gave me a budget of $3,000. And I went out and bought a purple Chevy Beretta. Now, for all of you young folks on the channel, you're probably gonna have no idea what that is. I haven't seen one in probably 10 years. It's basically a box car, We had no Bluetooth, we had no audio systems. Actually, we had a CD player, and I remember that. All right, so as I got summer jobs and I started working a little bit more, a movie called Fast and the Furious came out. It was the first one. And if you guys remember the opening scene of Fast and the Furious, there was 4 black cars that maneuvered through underneath this semi, and it was one of the coolest scenes ever. And what they did is they robbed this semi and pulled out all of the stereo decks. So we're dating ourselves once again. And on these cars, they were Honda Civics with body kits called Wings West. And I remember that to this day because I had to have this car. When these things came out, I had to have this car. So with me mowing the grass and doing other things, I saved up all of my money and I bought a Honda Civic off of eBay, sight unseen, for $6,000, and it had the Wings West body kit on it. Now, what I didn't realize is that lowered cars are a ton of trouble, especially growing up in the Midwest in Illinois. So when the snow came, I was basically like a human snowplow, just plowing over all of the snow, basically. And also in the back with the springs, every time I hit a bump, it would be like do, 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 do. So like every bump was like 5 times bouncing. So yeah, that was my Honda Civic experience, and I completely trashed that car because I had to drive it in the winter. And this is when I realized you have to have a winter car in the Midwest and you have to have a summer car in the Midwest. And so I could only afford one. That car was garbage. After a couple years, I sold it and I moved on to the next car. Okay, so after that experience of snow plowing with my Honda Civic, I bought a blue Trailblazer. Now, this is dating me once again, but these Trailblazers were 2 doors and they slanted in the back and they had the tire on the back, similar to a Jeep. I haven't seen these things for a while as well. Maybe 5 years ago I saw some. There's a lot of them in the Midwest. In Arizona here, there's not really a whole lot. But this was a good car because in the winter time, I could just fly through snow, and I learned my lesson that driving a car in the winter is not a good idea. And so that Trailblazer served me very well. And then I was ready to upgrade once again because I had more money. And so my next purchase after that was a black Trailblazer. This was a 4-door. I think I bought it off of a lady with a couple kids with 98,000 miles on it. It had a lot of miles. And it had cloth interior. I actually wanted in my Honda Civic to have one of those CD players that comes up so I can watch movies. And I finally bought one because they were a lot cheaper at this time now. We're talking about 2012. And so these things were a couple $100 now. And so I bought one and I thought I was cool, and I was driving, I was watching some movies, and then I had in the back, I had 2 12-inch subs. And so I was bumping, and I was like having all my buddies come in. I was like, yo, we got surround sound in the car. And then with that car, I actually ended up putting 22s as rims. So I had 22-inch black SS replica rims. I remember this to this day, with a blacked out Trailblazer, blacked out windows, blacked out taillights and headlights. This was like one of the coolest cars I ever owned. I still kind of wish I had this car because I had no problems with the Trailblazer. After the Chevy Trailblazer, I decided, you know what, I'm done with the Midwest, I'm moving to California. So I sold my Trailblazer. I had a pit bike at the time that I sold, and I also had a trailer at the time. So I sold them all, and I needed something to pack up all of my stuff because I was gonna go to the West Coast. And so what I did is I went to the ghetto of Illinois, which wasn't very smart at the time, and I gave a guy $3,000 cash for an Astro van. Now, this was a complete downgrade, but whenever you get a new car, no matter what it is, you just think it's so cool. And so I thought I was so cool buying an Astro van and taking all the seats out and piling all my stuff up. And I'm like, I'm out of here, guys. I'm going to the West Coast with all of my stuff. And then I didn't know what I was going to do with the van, but there was so much cargo space that I could store all my stuff in there that I thought I was pretty cool. And so I bought the Astro van for $3,000. Before I left, the transmission went out, which was awful. So that cost me about $1,200 to replace the transmission. And then when I'm heading to California, I was scared. So I think I only shut this thing off maybe twice on the way to California because I had to stay the night. But every time I pumped gas, I left it on and left it on. Now, I never had problems with the transmission. I did have problems with the starter in California, thank goodness. But no problems with that. I replaced the starter myself. And then one time my mirror fell off on the 101 in California. So that wasn't very cool either. Also, another cool vehicle that I had while I was in California was a blue golf cart. Now these are called Polaris gem cars. Yes, there's 2-seaters, 4-seaters, and 6-seaters. And this one was a 4-seater, well, 4 people, 2 seats. And I bought it, it was junk. I think I paid $2 grand for it, and then realized that the batteries, they only take Trojan batteries. And so the Trojan batteries set me back about another $1,200 on this thing. Ugh, I learned so much about a freaking golf cart, but now I know everything about it. I painted it blue, I put underneath lights on it, I bought rims, I bought a new battery for it, and I think I bought a new motor for it. This gem car, this Polaris gem car golf cart, was one of the coolest things that I've ever owned. Okay, so then I made a transition and I sold the Astro van, I sold the golf cart. So basically I had nothing, and I was moving from California to Arizona and I had no vehicle. So when I got to Arizona, I realized that the desert life is the way of life here. And so I'm like, you know, I need a Jeep. And so what I did is I bought a Jeep. So I bought a 2016 Jeep Wrangler 4-door. Oh my gosh, this thing was awesome. So I bought the Jeep Wrangler, and then I realized this is not luxury at all, but you pay a luxury price for it. And so that was really frustrating. I had no parts on this thing. I started tearing off the fender flares and tearing off other things, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna buy some parts for this, and I never ended up buying parts. But if you're thinking about buying a Jeep, make sure you set aside some money for parts, because a stock Jeep sucks. Let me tell you, a stock Jeep sucks. I don't care what brand you buy, Sahara, any of the brands, but just have money set aside for at least a lift kit and rims, because this makes a huge difference. Also, at that time, I bought a Polaris Slingshot. Not this guy, I bought a 2016 Polaris Slingshot as soon as they came out, because I was on YouTube, I was searching around at cars, and I saw this advertisement, and it was this Slingshot going foo, foo, like through the mountains, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing's awesome. It's sold, nobody's gonna have it, I'm buying it, done deal. So after that, for some odd reason, I decided to sell my Slingshot, I decided to sell my Jeep, and I bought a Kia Optima. Now, I'm not gonna go too much into a Kia Optima because it was just a daily cruiser. I'm not really sure why I sold my Jeep or my Slingshot. That was a stupid thing on my part. Yeah, and I totally regret it. So after I missed my Polaris Slingshot, this brings me to pretty much current day, 4 months ago. I bought another Slingshot, a 2017 Slingshot. My old one was a 16, and this thing has not let me down, except for this time, I'm not selling this bad boy. This thing is so much fun. Now I know, like you've seen in my other videos, it's not an exotic car. However, I've seen tons of photos of where this thing's next to exotic cars. People have it in their collection. It's one of those unique vehicles, and it's always gonna be unique. You guys are gonna love it. You're gonna hate it. I get it. You can give me flack in the comments below, but this thing is so much fun. And until you ride in it, please don't knock it. You gotta check it out because it's gonna change your life. So that brings me to the current point right now. What car should I buy next? Now, I've been thinking about the F430, the Ferrari. I've been thinking about the Huracan. I look these things up every day. I'm thinking about a Jeep Gladiator to bring to the channel. Right now, I'm just in limbo. I'm enjoying the Slingshot. One of those cars is definitely gonna be brought to the channel, if not all three. I can't wait to show you guys what's next. All right, guys, so like always, this has been another episode of Exotic Agent. I know I rambled on a little bit. Hopefully you guys got to see where I come from, all the different cars that I've owned before. And so I'm super excited about what's next, but please hit that subscribe button, that like button, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.